Now that we have our hierarchy set up, we have our project folder set up, let's go ahead and place in some materials into our project material folder. So if you left click on material and have it selected, just right click on it, go over to create, and let's go ahead and create a new material. For the new material, instead of labeling it at the moment, just push enter to accept the name for it. So it should be materials, and inside of that should be the new material. And we want to make a duplicate of this, and we want to make a new material for each object we have in the scene. We have 6 objects in our scene, so let's make 6 material. So to make a duplicate, remember Control D. So we're going to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we have 6 new materials. Now let's go ahead and just relabel. Remember, you can use F2 to relabel, or you can click twice on it with the left mouse button. We're going to call this one ground. So let's go ahead and just label these and call them the same names as the objects we have inside the scene. So this one we'll call hero. We'll have one called turret top and turret base. And then we'll have one called cannonball, and we'll have one called magic orb. So this gives us a material for each object in the scene. So let's go ahead and look at a few different ways you can actually assign the material to an object. For this object, for instance, if this was the ground selected, I could go over to my material and I could left click and just drag it to the ground. And if you notice, over on the side, now ground is the material for the object. If you click on one of the objects, you'll notice any of the other ones, they all say default diffuse. So this is going to be the very default object. You can't do anything to the object. This is why we create a new material, so we can change the color of the object. So let's go ahead and assign each one of the materials to each of the objects. You can use, for instance, cannonball. Say, for instance, I don't want to drag and drop it onto here. I can actually go over here and drop it directly onto cannonball in the hierarchy. Now it placed the cannonball material on it. You can also have the, say for instance, the magic orb selected. We can left click and drag the magic orb over to the inspector, and notice when I let go of my mouse button, it changes to magic orb. So we have 3 different ways you can actually assign the material to the object. The 4th way, we'll just go ahead and just to show you a different way to do it as well, is you can actually go over and in the mesh renderer component, there's a material rollout, and inside of it there's an element 0. You can go and click on the open button, and that one allows you to actually choose from a list of options. So for instance, this being the turret top, we'll find the turret top. When you left click on it, you'll notice that you actually update it right there. You can double click and that'll actually close the window out as well. And then we have the turret base, so we can, again, turret base, we could just drag and drop it onto the object there. So now all of our 3D objects have a material assigned to them. Let's see, hero needs his. Now we have each one, just go through and be sure you have them all assigned. Now with each one of them assigned, let's go ahead and place in a color. The ground, let's go ahead and just do kind of a dark green. And we'll kind of do a little bit of a faded color to it there. If you want to go by numbers, I'm just going visual just looking at it, but the numbers we've chosen for this is 50, 60, and we could tie it off with 50 there. So this would be the ground color. And then for the hero, we'll change the hero color. Let's do we'll just go ahead and do a bluish tone for him. And we'll make this 80, 90, and 186. So 80, 90, 186 will be our hero. The cannonball, let's go ahead and just do this kind of not a solid black, but let's do just kind of a right on the edge of black and gray right there. So a 34. And remember, if you're noticing, when it comes to changing the color, I'm just going to my material and clicking on main color. It's going to prompt the color option, and you can choose from that. The magic orb, let's see, let's make this like a yellowish color. I'll actually go really bright yellow, maybe a little tint of green to it. So for this, I've got a 236, 255, and a 0. Alright. And then for the turret, let's go ahead and take the turret top. We'll do a color on it. Let's have it stand out a little bit. Let's do a kind of a dark red, kind of a mean looking color there, something scary. So for this, let's see, we could do a 100 and then 0 and 0. And then for the base, let's just kind of do a brown base for it. So brown base is going to be a yellowish orange, yellowish red, and then just take your color picker and just kind of move it over to the side, and you'll get a nice start for that. We could do a 110, a 100, and a 50. Alright, so now we have some fun colors to work with. Each one of them has a different material assigned to it. And this is going to be kind of the setup for us so that we can use these inside the scene and just be able to visually tell what's going on. Alright, so the last thing we need to do, and it's something we haven't been doing, if you noticed, we haven't actually been saving our scene. So to save the scene, we just want to go up to File. We can do Save Scene. And it's going to ask us to save, and now we have a folder structure. We can go to our Project 1, and inside of it, we can go to Scene, and we can call this one Scene 1. And you'll notice that when you did Scene 1 right there, you now have Scene placed inside of your Scene folder. So now we have our scene set up, we have it saved, we have our materials. We're pretty much set up so that we can just begin placing in some script files and actually adding some interaction to the objects.